Irving has always been on my side. He's even after our
despite our occasional battles, I think Irving still likes me somewhere in there.
Have you had your
I've
moments?
had my I believe the last time Irving wrote me an email, he said I was destroying my life.
Oh.
But I still love him.
What was the context? What were you doing to destroy your life?
We had been, Irving had a management, I call it a pyramid structure. I don't mean that as a pejorative, kind of like, Irving sits atop. He kind of oversees all these junior managers. Sure. It was called Frontline at the time. I think it's been disbanded at some point. So we were working with a couple managers under Irving's aegis.
Yes.
And in the beginning, Irving was very invested, and as time went on and it didn't turn into the big reunion tour that everybody anticipated, Irving got less and less interested. The managers and I at some point didn't see eye to eye, and I basically called the managers and said, I'm going to leave, but it was peaceful. I'm still, I would go out to lunch with either of the managers now. I still love Irving. And just as I was about to go out the door, I get a long email from Irving basically saying, you're destroying your life. If I could put it in a nutshell, and I don't think he was wrong in what he was suggesting, because I don't think he would be mad even with me sharing this. He basically was saying, every artist in your position at some point has to accept that it's more about the past than the future. Mm. And you face those challenges. I faced those challenges, and maybe a fan wouldn't understand it. We all start as young people with a dream. And at some point, if somebody kind of taps you on the shoulder and says, it's really more about what's in the rearview mirror than what's in the front windshield, that's a hard day to kind of reconcile, even if you disagree. Because why are they tapping you on the shoulder? They're trying to tell you something. Mm-hmm. So Irving, in his very Irving way, and again, I love Irving and have nothing but respect for him. I think he was trying to tell me it's that moment in your life. Mm. And I wrote him back very nicely, and I said, Irving, you don't know me. Mm. And here I am some 15 years later, and the band's bigger than ever. We're still releasing new music. I've just done an opera in Chicago, that's focused on one of my past records, but I've completely reinterpreted it in a different way. So I don't think Irving saw that capability in me, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to Irving. I just don't think Irving understands the psychological mentality of an alternative artist. And when I say alternative, I mean an artist who came up in the Gen X, late 80s, early 90s generation, because we came just like when you were inspired by those artists in the 60s who at the time, the Neil Youngs and the Stills, they were all counterculture artists.
Absolutely.
Well, we were counterculture artists in a different generation, so just like those artists, you play by a different set of rules. You're never going to pull a Graham Nash or a Stephen Stills or a Neil Young or a David Crosby and tell them that they have to play by the rules. No matter how many times you tell them, no matter how many times you tell them the music business is going to change, they're like, we changed the world. And you can't take that out of somebody's DNA if they're one of those types of artists.
Yes.
And we were absolute total punks. We got away with murder with the stuff we did. So when somebody taps you on the shoulder and says it's time to be an adult, you think, it's not really my gig.
Well, you're more the exception than the rule, too.
Oh, absolutely.
And so from Irving's point of view, you can see why he would have said that.
That's why I said I don't take it disrespectfully.
Right. Yeah, but from your point of view, it makes perfect sense.
I thought it was insane.
Yeah,
I thought it was insane because I'm like, I got plenty of years to mess things up.
Right.